Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cash Flow Positive. I'm your host, Kenny Bedwell, and we're going to be talking about unique Airbnbs from your wildest dreams. Um, I'm not going to spoil the part two episode of this one, but boy, oh boy, you've got to listen to that one, and you're going to have to watch that one on YouTube. 100% watch that one on YouTube on the Cash Flow Positive channel, because I'm going to share my screen and with the person I'm interviewing and show you some of the craziest and wild, not even crazy. It's not crazy. It's wild. This is the correct term. Wildest Airbnbs that you have seen that this person owns and operates. I'm going to share those with you and break down the numbers with you from this person. And she's going to unveil, and it's a very interesting episode. I'll leave it at that. So yeah. Anyway, well, it's fun. Just be prepared. So let's talk about unique Airbnbs. First off, I want to talk about with unique Airbnbs, the riches and the niches. So in my experience with short-term rentals, the properties that tend to be more unique, and when I say more unique, like let's exaggerate a little bit, like, like the spaceship shaped properties, the unique architecture. When there's like one in Joshua Tree that like looks like it's mirrors and it like blends into the it's like almost like looks like it's invisible, but it's because it's mirrors and stuff. It's like really got really cool views, and we've seen these or heard of these types of properties before. Maybe not the ones I'm specifically talking about, but like the one that's like a potato in Idaho and like the Hobbit hole from the Shire, like all these like really cool like types of properties. We know that those we can guess and assume those do very, very well, and they do well. Now that doesn't mean that we're looking to build the same. However, we can learn lessons from them. And I think that's the goal of this podcast and this theme for this week is how can we look at these unique type of properties, not necessarily try to replicate and get super crazy, but at the same time, learn from them to be able to have a form of success. There is a level of risk involved with doing a unique type of property. I've seen unique properties utterly fail in certain markets because it was just a wrong market and the person was not targeting the right audience. And you have to be careful with that. But at the same time, they can be hugely successful and make a lot of money. And it's simply because they chose the right target audience, and it's a really cool property, and they did a very good job with it, and boom, lots of good demand, and they make a lot of money. So these things can work, and what we need to do is study why and implement some of those things into our own properties. And that's really what I want to focus on today in today's episode, and what you'll hear and see in the part two episode of this. With actual live examples. Like I'm going to open up my computer screen and share this lady's properties, because they're really going to give you some perspective. And she flat out tells you, like, look, not everyone's going to want to do a property like this, but here's what you can do. And that's what we want to talk about and share. So understand that having wildly unique properties is actually a great way to get good returns. There's a good book I read, and I want to encourage you guys. This one kind of changed my business a lot. I read it about 2 years ago, I think. I don't remember. Yeah, it was like 2 years ago. It's called The Pumpkin Plans by Mike Michalowicz. Basically, so the whole thing is about planting prize-winning pumpkins. Mike talks about going and studying these pumpkin seed farmers, and they're basically growing these like mega size pumpkins. The pumpkins that are the size of a car, and how they grow them, and how to basically win those competitions. And part of it too is so implementing that into the business world and how to grow our businesses through basically pumpkin planting. Really, really, really cool book. Super helpful in my business. But one of the things that he emphasizes on in this book is the idea of going all in. meaning like going all in on your property from a like targeting a specific audience. So the more general we are, and this is what I get in these arguments with people, not arguments, but just like, a little bit of back and forth with some designers, professionals in the space about how we should be catering like the guest experience. And I'm always going back and I'm like, well, who's the avatar? I'll give you an example. We're getting a property ready in Texas, which the location will be released in a few months after I've launched the property. So I don't want a bunch of you guys following me there today. So give me some breather room, but I will announce it. But anyway, so we're creating the design and everything, and the designer. So it's family friendly is our guest avatar. Okay, that's not crazy, but like multi-generational families. It's a 7-bedroom house, multi-generational families in Texas, and the designer comes back and she did a really good job. Like I don't care about bedspreads. I really don't care. It was just like which color designs, probably like this one, but whatever. I don't care about that. I'm looking at the amenities. And she took a room and turned it into like this massive poker room. It was cool. Like had wallpaper and this light up sign that said poker, and like there's a big poker table, chairs. And I was just thinking, I was like, what a waste of space. Like what a waste. And I said, guys, like we're trying to target families. Have you, like we want to host families, like a poker room, like that doesn't really family. And they're like, well, like you also want to have stuff for the adults. And I said, yeah, we have a pool, a hot tub, pickleball, a theater room, a game room, like a separate game room. Apparently you want to put in a gym in the garage. Like, what do we not have for the adults? Like, and now you want to do a poker date? Like, what? No, like that doesn't really fit in with what we're trying to sell here. And they were like, well, kids don't pay money. And I just looked at them and was like, I understand that, but do you have kids? Because for those of us who have kids, we're trying to provide stuff for them to do at the property so we can get alone time, right? Like, sure, you want to do stuff with your kids, but also you want to have them be able to do things at the property on their own and not have to like watch them all day, and I think that's part of the like vacation, right? As a parents being able to like have some space and, free time. And so like it didn't really click for them on that. But then finally, like I was like explaining, I was like, let's do something more, targeted and more focused and make it something fun. And so anyway, I'll share the ideas later. I'll get into I want to do a whole episode theme week on like going into amenities, but not just like, oh, add a hot tub or, do a game room, like, but specifically how you should do the amenities. Cause I think it matters. And it's not just do a game room. It's like how you should do a game room in the right way for your right audience. So, but the plan is like, we're going all in, like Mike said, on families, and we're creating experiences for families. And that is the goal. And, we challenge people. We don't want just the templated, whatever you did for your other clients, do the same thing for me. Because it worked this year, it might, work next year, but in 3 years, it's not going to work because everybody's just going to copy it. Like I know when I announce the location I bought this property, other people are going to go look there. 100% know that. Okay. I told the agent that I said, you're about to be a very wealthy man because you're going to have all these people coming there and trying to buy properties. They're going to look at my property as like this poster child and then try to go and do the same thing. And I understand that's going to happen naturally. I mean, if I don't say anything, people are just going to look it up on Airbnb and see it. And see, like, go to Kenny's profile on his properties, click and see his properties, and boom, there's the property. So look, like it's going to get out there. And so I have to be very strategic in looking for moats, the things that separate me from everybody else, and really targeting families or, whatever my guest avatar is in the nichest way that I feel comfortable and possible. And so that's like number one in understanding like how, so when we maximize ROI, we are targeting a specific guest avatar and going all in. That's step number one. Step number two, we are selling the experience. I guess I'm going to go ahead and ruin the amenity. I was going to save it for another time. We'll talk about it again later, but, It's going to be better shown than explained. I'm usually better at showing than explaining, but that's okay. So selling the experience is really important. It goes back to, riches and the niches. Like, not only is it like, okay, cool, let's put in a cool game room or something like that, but what are we going to do to that game room that's going to attract people and encourage people to book with us? What are they going to remember our booking, our property by? That's really important. I like when I'm thinking about, if you've ever, you should do this. If you've never stayed in an Airbnb before, you need to go and just go stay in an Airbnb for the weekend in a very popular market. For me, as someone who books for a family, like it's kind of an overwhelming experience trying to choose the right property. There's price, there's the right amenities, there's like the rating, there's all these different factors that make up the decision making on whether or not I want to actually stay at a place. I don't want to stay at the cheapest place, but I don't want to stay the most expensive one. But I also want to stay in a place that's clean and has really good reviews, because I've stayed at places that didn't have good reviews, and there's a reason why they didn't have good reviews, right? So like it's all these layers. And when you're in a market and there's hundreds of or thousands of options, it's overwhelming to choose, and I see why a lot of people just go, I'll just stay in a hotel because I know what I'm going to get. So with that being said, though, like, I still book Airbnbs. However, it's overwhelming with the choices. And frankly, it's kind of hard to remember, like when you're comparing properties, like, oh yeah, this one versus that one, unless you have them like literally pulled up on your screen. What I've noticed is the properties that have something very unique about them, they typically, number one, they get booked more. But number two, part of the reason is the psychology behind it is people remember something about that property when they're comparing it against other properties. For example, our Kentucky one. Okay, we have this really cool custom mini putt-putt, like bourbon themed putt-putt course. Okay. We also have, there's a pond and a heated pool, 2 hot tubs, a lot of things that are actually quite unique for that market that a lot of properties don't have. And so when people are looking at the property, like the house itself is brick and it's not really anything to write home about. But the things that are like, oh, wow, this property has 2 hot tubs. So what are people going to say? It's probably the property with 2 hot tubs, or the property with that mini putt-putt, course, like custom putt-putt course, or property with a heated pool, or the property with a pond that you can kayak on. Like they're just going to list out all these different things about those like that make that property unique, and they're going to remember that. So when they're remembering it, they're going to compare that to other properties in the area. If those other properties don't have anything special about them, psychologically, it's like this one just keeps popping up in their head because they've given it like a name or a title or something in their own head, in their own mind, that they'll remember it by. And that property will kind of remain on their list in the selection process. In a very competitive market, you have to do the same thing. You have to have something like the property with a really cool, neon sign. But if everybody has neon signs, like, are you really going to be unique? No. So you need to really, really think about what's like one or two things in my property that kind of set it aside, that aren't necessarily going to be like these huge ADR drivers that, oh, wow, I made $30,000 more by adding this like crazy green wall or something stupid, but something that people see on the first, it's going to be in your first 5 photos, right? It's got to be in the first 5 photos on Airbnb VRBO, like the first 5 photos that people see for your listing. Like, what is like that one thing that people unique? It has to be unique. Nobody else can really have. I mean, maybe one person, but like that is it. It can't be, oh yeah, there's like 10 other properties, but I have it. Like, oh yeah, I'm like walking distance from the beach. Oh my gosh, you know how many properties are walking distance from the beach? Oh, I have a hot tub, or I have a okay view. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just say it out loud and be like, is that anything special or anything cool to like brag? Would you brag about that to your friends who had the exact same property in the exact same location? Probably not, right? You probably don't have friends that have the exact same property, same location, but you get my point, right? Like, what's that bragging thing? Like when I talk to people on the Bourbon Trail, I'm like, yeah, check this out. Like I'm like bragging about certain aspects. Am I bragging about the golf simulator? Probably not. Some have golf simulators. Am I bragging about, the fire pit? No. I know a lot of them have the same exact fire pit, like same design. Am I bragging about the theater room? No, not really. The gym? No. The bedrooms? Heck no. You know what I mean? It's like, no, why would I do that? Even though they have cool wallpaper, we put a lot of design decor, the game room's awesome. Other properties have cool game rooms. No, it's the things they don't have. the 2 hot tubs, the custom any pop-up theme, like those things that go above and beyond. People will see, click in their brains and associate that to that property and give it its personal name. So I want you, like, that's number 2. You're selling the experience and you're creating something unique that people will remember, burn in their brain when they're trying to compare your property against others. Number 3, do what others aren't willing to do. Okay. People naturally want to copy and paste what they think works. These big design companies, I'm going to tell you right now, because I work with them a lot. There's, yeah, I'll start naming names. So, and it's nothing, it's not like, please, this isn't saying don't use them. I just like, you got to understand the business model and what they're trying to do. It's very templated, right? They know what works in these other markets or what they have experience with that people want, and they go copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. But if you're listening to this, the riches are in the niches. Does that copy paste template make sense for you? No, you should always push back. And these companies are willing to work with you and willing to be creative, but you're going to have to feed them information. Okay. Summerled, STR Cribs, Revity Refine. These are 3 companies we work with that for the most part have good experience with. It's kind of hit or miss sometimes, but the reality is that each of these companies, they're doing the same thing. They're creating the design, and doing the construction piece and actually launching it for you, which is great. But if you just tell them to go and do it, you're going to get something templated. Do what others aren't willing to do. Do the research. Spend some time on Pinterest, Googling unique Airbnbs. Just get ideas that would attract your target audience. Like, go above and beyond. So let me circle back to the amenity I didn't talk about that we're doing in the Texas house. So we're doing a really cool game room. Okay, not just a game room that you're thinking about with arcades, but like a board game room. All right, so listen to this. It's not just, oh, here's a bookshelf of board games. It's a built-in shelf, and it's like cubbies, and there's like 30 games, like board games, and they're all like outward facing, so you can see what the games are. And in each of the cubbies is like custom lighting, and then there's like special lighting above, and then there's like a big board game, I don't know, this is like board game tables or whatever with the chairs around it, and it says like, like this big sign, board games. And then there's a trivia board, like, a buzzer thing, like built in, like really like custom themed board game room. Like, if you're a board game fanatic, you're going to want to play in this room. Like, there's no other room that's like it. That's what I'm talking about. People aren't like, you might be going, okay, Kenny, like that's not like, and look, I stack really cool ideas together. I don't just do one thing. Sure, somebody else can come in and try to replicate that, but they've got to stack it against everything else. And most people aren't willing to do that. So that's what I'm talking about. Do the things that people aren't willing to do. Last 4th piece of advice on this topic on unique Airbnbs and like figuring out how to make your property unique. Go all in. Okay. My podcast got rated PG, so I'm just going to say half butted. There are some people on here that probably made it not PG anymore, but anyway, and probably the next episode it will not be PG. It just heads up. It's not that bad, but don't put in half the effort, right? Don't 50%. You're like, really think it through. Really come up with ideas. Get creative, shop, look at different pricing. Just try to think outside the box. And if you're thinking with the guest avatar in mind and you're doing the right stuff, you're gonna find something. You're gonna find a really good idea that you're gonna be excited about that will help you set apart. But you gotta go all in. If you do it halfway, it's obvious. It looks like it's like a half-hearted effort. Don't do that. Go all in. The Airbnbs that go all in make the most money. Okay, like that's just how it is now. Does it mean you got to do something crazy, crazy different? No, I'm not saying that. But just like, don't build like half of my house is, the shape of a shoe and the other house is a normal like cabin. It's like, that's kind of weird. Like just like go all in, do the whole shoe. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to like, yeah. So I understand that's like a crazy example, but you get it, right? Like, don't try to just do like some of the amenities and not all the amenities that your guests would enjoy. Or, like I'm going to put in, I hear this one all the time. I'm going to put in, let me think, like I'm like in a, I hear a lot with pools, like in a market where it's typically colder, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to put in a pool, but you're not going to get it heated." It's like, come on, go all in, just do it. It's an extra 5 or 10 grand. I understand, like there's a certain like I'm not saying like overspend on things, but go in and execute. Don't try to skimp because for the sake of skimping. Be strategic. It should be all part of your plan, right? But the plan and then like go in and execute the plan. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with people and I'm like, let me look at your listing, and like, clients and they do it. And I'm like, well, where's all these amenities we talked about adding? Oh, well, I just didn't think like we needed. I'm like, you're setting yourself up for failure. Go all in. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It'll be a fun one in the second one, just giving you a heads up. So anyway, I'll see you on Thursday on Cash Flow Positive on the next episode. And by the way, if you haven't done this already, I would love it. Leave me a review. I haven't asked for one in a while. Leave me a review on Apple or sorry, iTunes or Spotify, wherever you're listening. Would love a 5-star review. Let me just 5-star. Yeah. And just feedback. Give me some feedback, guys. Love it. If you love the episodes, tell me you love listening to it. I'd love to know what specific episode you like too. You can email me as well or reach out to me on Instagram at Kenny_Bedwell. Follow me on Instagram as well, where I do embarrassing reels and educational embarrassing reels. So yes, in content. So be sure to follow me there, leave me a review, and I will see you on the next episode of Cash Flow Pod.